Edward Snowden, NSA expose. Imagine thinking your late-night Google searches for "Is my cat judging me?" are top secret, until you find out Big Brother is basically your browser history's best friend. Enter Edward Snowden, the IT guy who peeked behind the NSA's digital curtain in 2013, gasped, and decided the world deserved to know what he saw. Turns out the US government was playing digital Pokemon Go, but instead of catching Pikachus, they're vacuuming up everyone's calls, texts, and emails. Not cool. Snowden took the nuclear option. Download, reveal, exile in Russia. Meme template for every "when you see it" moment online. His leaks didn't just break the internet, they broke open a global debate on privacy versus security. Some call him a hero, some a traitor, and some just want to know how he manages to look so calm on live streams from an undisclosed bunker. Snowden himself once said, "I don't want to live in a world where everything I do and say is recorded." Genre-defining move. If you've ever covered your laptop webcam with tape out of mild paranoia, you have Snowden to thank for making that mainstream, and for confirming your suspicions that yes, the government really could have been watching you ugly cry at 2 a.m. Mark Felt, Deep Throat. Mark Felt was what happens when you combine the vibes of a film noir detective with the stress levels of an over-caffeinated Reddit moderator. By day, Felt was literally the second highest-ranking FBI official. By night, well, parking garages, secret signals, and the code name Deep Throat. Nice. Felt was the shadowy source leaking nuclear-grade tea to the Washington Post about Watergate, the political scandal that made "gate" the default suffix for every minor celebrity mishap. Felt didn't have Twitter, so he did things old school, anonymous meetups, cryptic notes, and probably a trench coat or two. His clandestine info drops blew the lid off President Nixon's shenanigans, ultimately unseating POTUS and wiping out America's blind trust in leaders for, ever. When Felt's identity was finally revealed decades later, America's collective jaw hit the floor and immediately started Googling how to whistleblow without blowing up my life. He once said, "The truth is these leaks are good for the country." Or as TikTok might put it, Mark was the original anon source, but make it legendary. A. Ernest Fitzgerald, Contract Whistle. A. Ernest Fitzgerald, or Fitzy, if he was born in the 2000s, was out here living the dream, spreadsheets, cost reports, and the dazzling world of government contracts. But in 1968, Fitzy did something most accountants only dream of. He, accidentally on purpose, saved taxpayers about $270 million by exposing that Lockheed Martin was basically billing Uncle Sam for gold-plated paper clips. Fitzgerald went public with all the military's messy budget overruns, earning a quick exit from his comfy Pentagon gig and a spot on Nixon's enemies list. Yes, that was a thing. His testimony wasn't just a vibe. Congress literally passed the Whistleblower Protection Act in his honor. Fitzgerald's approach to honesty in government was so savage that it made fiscal responsibility actually sound kind of metal. Quoting the man himself, "The government is not a business and shouldn't pretend to be. In modern terms, that's basically stop running the country like a scammy startup." Thanks, Fitz, for proving bean counters could be rock stars too. Peter Buxton, Tuskegee Truth. Peter Buxton was just a regular public health dude until he learned his employer, the US government, was running the most cursed social experiment ever, the Tuskegee Study. Translation: Black men in Alabama were being monitored for untreated syphilis without their knowledge. Even as penicillin became the gold standard cure, doctors kept playing, "Let's see what happens if we do literally nothing." Buxton was so shook, he reported it multiple times, and when no one cared, he leaked it to the press faster than an iOS beta update. The fallout? The study was ended, apologies made, finally, and medical ethics got its biggest wake-up call since "don't treat patients like lab rats" should have been obvious. Buxton's whistleblowing proved that one person can stop generational gaslighting, a fact that echoes every time someone says, "This is unethical, right?" Buxton's legacy? The absolute bare minimum. Don't let doctors experiment on you for science. Heavy, but necessary. Karen Silkwood, nuclear watchdog. Karen Silkwood was your average nuclear technician until she noticed some serious Chernobyl but in Oklahoma vibes at her workplace, Kerr-McGee. Instead of chilling, she started collecting receipts, falsified safety records, toxic exposure, you name it. Basically, if TikTok had existed, Silkwood would have gone viral for exposing her workplace. Unfortunately, this was the 70s, so she got stonewalled and gaslit instead. In 1974, she was headed to meet a New York Times reporter, evidence in hand, when she died mysteriously in a car crash that still makes true crime buffs raise an eyebrow. Her story inspired movies, protests, and every suspicious "did they or didn't they" conversation about whistleblower safety since. "I thought someone should do something, and then I realized I am someone," she once said. Karen, the OG of "if not me, then who" memes. Nuclear safety might sound boring, but Silkwood's heroism made it both terrifying and iconic. John Paul Vann, Vietnam insider. Meet John Paul Vann, the military advisor who realized Vietnam wasn't Call of Duty. It was a bugged campaign mission no one wanted to QA test. Vann was a colonel who straight up told higher-ups, "Hey, this war strategy, it's all vibes, no results." The army response, silence, then career kryptonite. Vann didn't fold. He called up the press and spilled everything about the senseless tactics and absolute chaos on the ground. Legendary move, because he had skin in the game and truth on his side. He inspired everyone from journalists to junior officers to question the official narrative. In his words, "We don't have 12 years experience in Vietnam. We have 1 year's experience 12 times over." Vann's story is proof that sometimes the only way to win is to rage quit and expose the glitches. The lesson? Believe those who risk their careers to call out power, especially when the stakes are international. Mark Whitaker, ADM fraud. Mark Whitaker's life is basically if The Office crashed into an FBI buddy cop movie. An executive turned secret agent, Whitaker wore a wire for 3 years to expose how Archer Daniels Midland, ADM, was price-fixing like it was a family monopoly night gone corporate. Whitaker risked mansion life, a 6-figure salary, and his health, all while getting entangled in his own embezzlement subplot. Yeah, anti-hero energy. His whistleblowing fueled one of the largest antitrust busts in history. The story is so wild it got turned into a movie starring Matt Damon, who, let's be honest, would also ace undercover work at Costco. Sometimes the good guys are also kind of complicated, Whitaker once joked about his own saga. Safe to say, Mark proved you can accidentally take down a multinational cartel while also being your own worst enemy. Iconic or chaotic? Both. Joe Darby, Abu Ghraib leaker. Picture scrolling through your camera roll and stumbling on photos of coworkers doing war crimes. What do? Post a strongly worded Yelp review. Joe Darby found himself exactly there in 2004 when Abu Ghraib prison pics landed unexpectedly in his lap. Instead of ignoring them, which, let's be honest, would have been easier, Darby hit up his superiors, sparking one of the biggest US military scandals ever. The abuse exposed by his whistleblowing forced the entire world to ask hard questions about morality, leadership, and what following orders really means. Darby got threats, was ostracized, and basically had to move for his safety. If you see something wrong, you have the obligation to fix it, he explained later. The absolute antithesis of not my business, not my problem energy. Sometimes the bravest move is just refusing to look away when the whole world wants you to scroll on by. Found this video interesting? Leave us a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. Let us know what we should cover next in the comments below.